The story begins on a large river deep inside a dense forest. A man named Jeff is sailing down the river with some of his companions. They earn money by catching snakes and selling them in the city. But the place they are heading to that day is extremely dangerous. The boat captain warns Jeff that the area is cursed and filled with deadly poisonous snakes. He says he has heard stories about a giant anaconda named Crimson that lives there. According to the legends, the creature kills anyone who enters its territory. But Jeff only smiles and tells the captain to take him there anyway. He says the trip will make them rich and they will return safely afterward. Jeff is an expert snake hunter, and he came to the jungle for one reason only, to capture the legendary Crimson Anaconda. After some time, they finally arrive at the location. The captain demands extra money because the area is extremely dangerous, and bringing someone there is a huge risk. Jeff calmly takes money from his pocket and offers it to him. However, as the captain reaches out with both hands, Jeff intentionally drops the money on the ground. The captain bends down happily to pick it up. At that moment, Jeff suddenly stabs him in the neck. He brutally kills the captain, cuts his throat, and throws the body into the river. Jeff's companions, standing nearby on the riverbank, witness everything in shock. They are terrified after seeing Jeff's cruelty. Jeff then walks toward his two companions and warns them that anyone who betrays him will face the same fate. After that, the three men continue deeper into the jungle. Soon, they arrive at a mysterious place where they discover a massive snake statue. Seeing it, Jeff realizes that the stories about the Crimson Anaconda might actually be true. Meanwhile, Jeff's companions discover a large number of snakes nearby. Excited by their find, they quickly begin catching them and stuffing them into bags. Jeff ignores the smaller snakes because he is only interested in finding the largest creature in the jungle, the Crimson Anaconda. One of the companions carries a bag full of captured snakes back toward the boat. As he approaches the river, he notices the headless body of the captain floating in the water at a distance. The sight leaves him frozen in fear. Suddenly, the corpse sinks beneath the surface. At the same time, something massive begins moving rapidly through the water toward him. Terrified, the man turns around and runs into the jungle, but within seconds, a gigantic anaconda attacks him with incredible speed. The massive snake wraps itself tightly around his body and crushes his bones. Then, it opens its enormous mouth and begins swallowing him whole. Meanwhile, the other companion walks deeper into the jungle, carrying a bag filled with snakes. Suddenly, he stops after noticing something horrifying nearby. He sees the giant anaconda slowly crawling through the forest. As the creature climbs onto a tree, the shape of a human body can clearly be seen inside its swollen stomach. It becomes obvious that the monster has swallowed a person alive. Before the man could escape with his life, the giant anaconda suddenly regurgitates the body of his companion. The horrifying sight leaves him frozen in fear. Moments later, the snake attacks him as well. The massive creature wraps itself tightly around the man and begins swallowing him alive. Jeff watches everything from a distance without trying to help his companion. Instead of fear, he seems entertained by the situation. Jeff had actually planned to use someone as bait for the snake. His idea was to wait until the anaconda became distracted while feeding, then stun it and kill it. Jeff pulls out his shotgun and prepares to attack the giant snake. But suddenly, all the animals and birds in the jungle begin making loud noises. The entire forest becomes restless. Hearing the disturbance, the anaconda suddenly abandons its prey and disappears into the jungle. It seems that something even more terrifying is moving through the forest and frightening every creature around. The scene then shifts to a struggling circus show. The circus is close to shutting down because almost nobody comes to watch anymore. A young man named Billy Yang arrives and approaches the circus owner. He opens a suitcase filled with money and offers to buy the entire circus team. Billy explains that he plans to take everyone to Thailand and start a new circus there. The circus workers are shocked to see Billy carrying so much money just a few years earlier. Billy Yang was extremely poor and worked alongside them in the same circus. No one knows how he suddenly became rich in such a short time. The next morning, Billy prepares to take the circus crew to Thailand by boat. Since Billy now owns the circus, everyone agrees to go with him. They all board the boat while the captain begins steering them toward their destination. During the journey, Billy secretly hides inside the bathroom and makes a phone call. He quietly tells someone that the delivery is ready and that he will arrive soon with the people on the boat. His words make it clear that he is planning something dangerous. After traveling some distance, the group notices that the river ahead is completely blocked. Large wooden barriers and heavy containers have been placed across the path. The boat captain explains that they can take another route instead. However, that path would take much longer to reach Thailand. Billy becomes angry after hearing this suggestion. He threatens the captain and says they must reach Thailand on time because he has already accepted advance payment for a show there. He warns that if they fail to perform, they will lose everything. The captain then suggests another risky solution. He says they can use explosives to destroy the barriers and clear the path. Billy quickly agrees to the dangerous plan. However, none of them realize the terrible mistake they are about to make. They place explosives near the containers and detonate them using a remote control. The explosion successfully clears the river, but at the same time, countless snakes hidden inside the containers fall directly onto the boat. The crew members panic and begin running in terror. Within moments, the entire boat becomes covered with snakes. The deadly reptiles start attacking and biting everyone on board. A young woman named Lenny quickly thinks of a way to protect herself. She turns on a high-pressure water pipe, causing the snakes around her to be blasted into the river. Meanwhile, Billy Yang hides inside the boat's bathroom in fear. But suddenly, the bathroom ceiling collapses and dozens of snakes fall directly on top of him. Terrified, Billy jumps into the river and swims toward the shore to escape. However, even after reaching land, danger still follows him. A deadly king cobra suddenly appears in front of Billy and prepares to strike. Just before the snake can bite him, a man steps forward and crushes the cobra under his foot, saving Billy's life. That mysterious man is Jeff. Since Jeff saved him, Billy allows him to come aboard the boat with the others. Jeff introduces himself as a wild explorer who became stranded in the jungle after an accident. At that moment, a circus worker named Gia suddenly experiences terrible pain in his ear. The pain becomes so severe that he collapses to the ground. Jeff examines Gia carefully and quickly realizes what is causing the problem. He makes a small cut on his finger and places it near Gia's ear. Moments later, a thin poisonous snake crawls out from inside the ear and bites Jeff's finger. Surprisingly, Jeff remains completely unharmed even after being bitten. He calmly grabs the snake and throws it into the river. Lenny watches everything in shock. She cannot understand how Jeff survived the venom without any reaction. Lenny also has knowledge about snakes and venom. She explains that a person can only become resistant to snake venom after exposing their body to large amounts of it over time. Otherwise, such a bite would normally be deadly. Lenny becomes suspicious and tells Billy Yang that something about Jeff feels wrong. She reminds him that Jeff was bitten directly by the snake but showed no signs of pain or poisoning. However, Billy ignores her concerns. He says they should be grateful because Jeff saved both his life and the life of one of their crew members. Later, Jeff secretly approaches the boat captain. He offers him a large amount of money and shows him a map. Jeff promises to pay even more if the captain takes him to the location marked on it. But the moment the captain hears the name of the place, his expression changes completely. He immediately points a gun at Jeff and warns him never to mention that place again. The captain reveals that the location is home to a terrifying giant anaconda known as Crimson. After hearing the warning, Jeff quietly walks away. That night, the captain sits alone on the boat and starts fishing. Suddenly, the fishing rod is pulled violently from below the water. The captain loses his grip as the rod slips from his hands. When he bends down to grab it, something suddenly drags him into the river. The attacker is revealed to be Jeff. Murders the captain and uses his body as bait to attract the giant anacondas living in the jungle. After some time, the others begin searching for the missing captain. However, they cannot find him anywhere. Lenny slowly begins to suspect that Jeff may be responsible for his disappearance. Lenny asks Jeff where the captain has disappeared to, but Jeff pretends to know nothing about it. He tells her that people often go missing in dangerous jungles like this. Suddenly, strange activity begins throughout the forest. A loud commotion spreads across the jungle as birds and animals start screaming and running in fear. Moments later, everyone hears a powerful movement coming from the river. Confused and frightened, they begin asking each other what the sound could be. Jeff immediately realizes that something massive is approaching. The excitement on his face makes it clear that he has been waiting for this moment. Deep beneath the river, a gigantic anaconda moves directly toward the trap Jeff had prepared. The fishing line connected to the trap suddenly jerks downward with incredible force. Jeff quickly grabs the line and tries to pull the creature in. But capturing the giant snake is not going to be easy. Within seconds, the enormous anaconda rises from the water in front of everyone. The creature is unbelievably huge and terrifying. Its appearance shocks everyone on the boat. The anaconda pulls the line violently, dragging Jeff straight into the river. The giant snake thrashes him around in the water like a toy. Still, Jeff refuses to give up. In an attempt to survive, he swims toward a small nearby boat and ties the trap rope to it. Standing on the boat, Jeff attacks the anaconda with a sharp weapon. However, the attack barely affects the massive creature. The anaconda quickly grabs Jeff again as it coils around him. The giant snake wraps itself around the small boat and drags it underwater. The people watching from a distance believe Jeff has died, but moments later, Jeff suddenly reappears and swims back to the main boat alive. Everyone is shocked to see him survive. Jeff immediately starts searching the water for the anaconda again. However, he does not realize that the creature is no longer underwater. The giant snake has secretly climbed onto the roof of the boat behind him. Suddenly, the anaconda spits out the dead captain's body in front of everyone. The horrifying sight throws the entire group into panic. Terrified, the passengers begin running in every direction to save themselves. The giant snake moves toward a locked room, where two circus workers are trapped inside. Before the creature can attack them, Jeff strikes the anaconda from behind with his weapon. The attack only makes the snake even more aggressive. The enraged creature immediately turns and starts chasing Jeff through the boat. Jeff hides to protect himself, but the giant snake continues searching for him relentlessly. The anaconda enters different parts of the boat while the circus crew hides in fear. Fortunately, the creature fails to notice Kat and Diana hiding nearby. It crawls over them and exits through a window without seeing them. Meanwhile, the rest of the passengers hide in every corner they can find. As the anaconda searches through the bathroom area, it spots a child and Jiao. The giant snake instantly attacks them. Luckily, both manage to escape just in time. Lenny quickly reaches them to help. As the anaconda lunges toward Lenny, Joe cleverly places a large metal pot over the creature's head, temporarily trapping it inside. The giant anaconda struggles violently to remove the metal pot trapped on its head. During the chaos, a container filled with kerosene spills across the boat. The enraged snake thrashes wildly from side to side while trying to break free. Finally, it smashes its head against the boat with enough force to shatter the pot. The moment the anaconda frees itself, Jeff quickly throws a rope around its neck from behind. Before Jeff can fully control the creature, the spilled kerosene catches fire. Flames rapidly spread across the boat. The fire slowly reaches the explosives stored inside. Within seconds, a massive explosion tears through the boat. Everyone on board jumps into the river to save themselves. However, Jeff had tied the rope tightly around the anaconda's neck, preventing it from escaping the burning boat. The survivors barely managed to swim safely to the riverbank. As Billy Yang watches the boat burn, he begins to cry in frustration. He worries that they will never reach Thailand on time. Now the rest of the circus crew are terrified, because they are stranded deep inside the jungle without any way to escape. Lenny realizes that Jeff is responsible for everything that happened. She accuses him of using their boat as bait to trap the giant snake. Lenny angrily tells Jeff that none of them would be in danger if he had not involved them in his hunt. Jeff responds by talking about the enormous value of the giant anaconda. He claims that if they had helped him capture it, they could all have become millionaires. The moment Billy hears about the money, his attitude completely changes. He immediately forgets about the Thailand trip and joins Jeff's side. Billy asks Jeff what they need to do in order to catch the giant snake and earn the money. Jeff then pulls out a map and tells them he knows a shortcut that can take them to Thailand within a couple of days. Billy and several others decide to follow Jeff toward his hidden boat, but Lenny still does not trust him at all. She refuses to go with Jeff because she believes he is dangerous. At that moment, one of the circus girls suddenly becomes seriously ill. When Billy examines her shoulder, they discover a bite from a deadly spider. The venom is spreading quickly and could kill her. Seeing the situation, Jeff tells them he has medicine that can save the girl's life. However, he says the medicine is stored on his boat. Jeff explains that if they want to save her, they must take him back there. With no other choice, Lenny reluctantly agrees to travel with him. After several hours of walking through the jungle, one of the companions tries to drink water from the river. Jeff immediately stops him and warns everyone not to drink it. He explains that dangerous parasites live inside the water. According to Jeff, the parasites enter the human body and create unbearable thirst, causing victims to drown while desperately trying to drink more water. As the journey continues, the group becomes extremely hungry. Jeff catches a snake hiding between nearby rocks. He removes its venom, cooks the snake over a fire, and eats it to survive. The group then continues traveling deeper into the jungle. Eventually, night falls over the forest. They stop inside a tunnel in the mountains and light a fire to rest, while everyone else rests nearby. Jeff quietly sits alone and stares at the drawing of the giant anaconda marked on his map. Jeff remembers the moment when the giant anaconda first appeared in front of him. The massive creature was preparing to attack him. Thinking quickly, Jeff hid himself inside a large wooden box nearby. The box was resting on a slope near the river. Jeff pushed the box downhill and it slid directly into the water. However, once inside, Jeff became trapped and could not escape. He remained stuck there for a long time. Much later, another group arrived in the area. They placed dynamite near blocked containers and blew them apart to clear the path. The explosion accidentally freed Jeff from the box, allowing him to escape. Afterward, he joined the group and pretended to be one of them. The scene then returns to the present. Jeff sits quietly while studying the map in his hands. Billy Yang walks over to him and asks if he truly wants to capture the giant anaconda. Jeff confidently says yes. He explains that the creature is the king of the entire jungle. According to Jeff, every animal in the forest fears it. He says the giant snake has hunted some of the largest creatures in the wild. It has even killed other anacondas as large as itself. Jeff believes that if they manage to capture the monster, they will become millionaires overnight. The mention of money excites Billy Yang. Billy immediately agrees to help Jeff hunt the giant creature. As night grows darker, everyone eventually falls asleep inside the tunnel. Sometime later, one of the circus workers wakes up after hearing a strange sound nearby. He notices that his brother is missing. Worried, he leaves the tunnel and searches for him near the river. There, he finds his brother standing in the water while trying to drown himself. The man desperately tries to stop him, but his brother refuses to listen. Then he notices strange parasites crawling out of his brother's nose. At that moment, he realizes the horrifying truth. His brother had drunk water from the river. Jeff had already warned them that dangerous parasites lived in the water. The parasites create unbearable thirst and eventually drive people to drown themselves. That is exactly what happens to the man's brother. Devastated by the loss, the man breaks down in tears before returning to the tunnel. The next morning, the group continues their journey through the jungle. After several hours of travel, they arrive at a river they must cross in order to move forward. At first, everyone is terrified to step into the water, but since there is no other path available, they are forced to continue through the river. After moving a short distance, one of the boys suddenly points toward the water ahead. To their horror, they realize a giant anaconda is nearby. One of the men, still traumatized by his brother's death, begins falling behind the group out of fear. Suddenly, the massive anaconda attacks him from behind. The creature wraps itself tightly around his body. Lenny quickly rushes forward to help him, but before she can reach him, the giant snake crushes the man's bones and drags him underwater. The rest of the group panics and begins running through the river to save themselves. After a long struggle, they finally reach Jeff's hidden boat. As promised, Jeff gives them medicine for the girl who had been bitten by the poisonous spider. Jeff then tells everyone that Thailand is very close now. Believing they are finally safe, the group prepares to continue the journey, but suddenly Jeff stops them. It becomes clear that he brought them there for a hidden reason. Jeff had planned to use all of them as bait for the giant anaconda. He calmly tells the group that he kept his promise and brought them there safely. Jeff tells the group that now, it is their turn to keep their promise and help him. Young boy immediately refuses. He tells Jeff that if helping him means hunting the giant anaconda, then none of them will support him. Hearing this, Jeff suddenly pulls out a gun. At the same time, another man pulls out a knife and joins Jeff's side. Wounded and terrified, Billy tells the others to obey Jeff if they want to stay alive. Lenny angrily asks them if they have all gone mad. She warns them that the giant anaconda is far too dangerous, and that risking their lives for it is insanity. Jeff calmly replies that capturing the creature is extremely difficult, but not impossible. He explains that the best chance to catch the snake is while it is feeding. Jeff and Billy then tie up 2 members of the circus crew with ropes and use them as live bait for the anaconda. The young boy questions Billy and asks why he is doing something so cruel. He reminds Billy that if everyone dies, there will be nobody left to perform in the circus. Billy suddenly begins laughing after hearing this. He reveals a dark secret that shocks everyone. Billy admits that he never planned to take them to a circus in Thailand. He explains that he became rich by secretly trafficking human body parts. According to Billy, That illegal business is how he earned so much money in only a few years. He says he originally planned to sell all of them for profit, but now after learning about the giant anaconda, he believes the creature is worth even more money. Meanwhile, Jeff keeps two of the girls tied up nearby. He begins behaving aggressively toward one of them. The girl quickly realizes she must act carefully to survive. Pretending to support Jeff, she moves closer to him and starts distracting him. Jeff fails to notice her plan. As she gets near him, the moment she gets an opportunity, she secretly grabs the gun from Jeff's pocket and points it at him. She tries to fire the weapon, but nothing happens because she does not know how to unlock the safety. Furious, Jeff immediately snatches the gun back from her. He raises the weapon and prepares to shoot her, but before he can pull the trigger, Lenny manages to free herself. Lenny suddenly attacks Jeff and stabs him in the stomach with a sharp piece of broken glass. Jeff violently pushes Lenny away. At the same moment, the other girl also attacks Jeff. Lenny struggles to take the gun away from him. During the fight, a gunshot suddenly echoes through the area. However, nobody can tell who has been hit. Meanwhile, the two men tied up as bait remain trapped and terrified. Unable to escape, they helplessly wait for what is coming. After some time, a giant anaconda slowly emerges and moves toward them, preparing to devour them alive. Billy Yang watches the entire situation from a distance with excitement. He waits for the giant anaconda to attack the trapped men so he can pull the rope and capture it. However, Billy has no idea that another giant anaconda is silently approaching him from above. Before Billy can even notice the danger, the snake suddenly attacks him. The massive creature grabs Billy and drags him away into the jungle. As he is pulled away, the rope slips from his hands. The net falls over the two trapped men and accidentally saves their lives. Meanwhile, Jeff once again tries to attack the girl, but before he can harm her, Lenny rushes from behind and strikes Jeff on the head with a heavy wooden stick. The powerful hit knocks Jeff unconscious. The moment Jeff collapses, the two rescued men quickly free the others from the net. Unfortunately, Jeff regains consciousness sooner than expected and starts moving toward them again. But suddenly, another giant anaconda appears and attacks Jeff, dragging him away into the darkness. The survivors immediately prepare to escape from the area. However, one of their companions is badly injured and unable to walk. During the earlier fight, she had been hit by a stray bullet. A short time later, the injured girl dies in front of the others. Heartbroken and terrified, the three remaining survivors board Jeff's boat and attempt to escape through the river. But suddenly, something strikes Gia from behind. When he checks his shoulder, he realizes he has been hit with a tranquilizer dart. Within seconds, Gia loses consciousness and collapses. The person responsible is revealed to be Jeff. Against all odds, Jeff survived the anaconda attack. He had even managed to kill the snake by cutting off its head. Jeff captures the remaining survivors and ties them up as bait for the giant anacondas. He tightly secures sharp metal wires around them and pours blood nearby to attract the snakes. After preparing the trap, Jeff takes hold of the rope connected to the net and waits at a safe distance. Soon, several giant anacondas begin moving toward the captives after smelling the blood. The trapped survivors are horrified as they watch the deadly snakes approach them. The giant reptiles slowly move closer, preparing to attack. But suddenly, the jungle once again erupts with panic. Birds and animals begin screaming and fleeing in every direction. Even the giant anacondas nearby suddenly start retreating as if they are afraid of something even more dangerous. However, one of the snakes refuses to back away and continues moving toward the trapped survivors. At that moment, the legendary Crimson Anaconda finally appears. The enormous creature attacks the smaller Anaconda and kills it instantly with a single strike. For the first time, everyone gets a clear look at the Crimson Anaconda. The giant monster is unbelievably massive, terrifying, and far more dangerous than any snake they have ever seen. The three of them are terrified, but Jeff, standing at a distance, feels excited after seeing the Crimson Anaconda. The giant anaconda opens its massive mouth and moves toward them to swallow them alive. At that moment, Jeff releases a hidden net rope, trapping the creature. The anaconda struggles violently to break free. It uses all its strength to escape the net. When it fails, it tears through the rope with its sharp fangs. However, part of the net remains tangled around its body. Jeff grabs the rope tightly and tries to hold the creature back, but Jeff is no match for the anaconda's incredible strength. While trying to stop it, Jeff becomes trapped between two trees. Now he has no way to escape. Taking advantage of the situation, the Crimson Anaconda quickly moves toward Jeff. It wraps its huge body around him and squeezes him tightly. The other three people witness the horrifying scene in panic. They desperately try to free themselves, knowing they could be next. They attempt every possible way to escape, but nothing works. Then the young boy decides to save himself by biting the rope with his teeth. After struggling for a long time, he finally manages to tear part of the rope apart. Only a small section remains. Using all his strength, he bites harder and harder until blood begins to drip from his mouth. Meanwhile, the Crimson Anaconda tightens its grip around Jeff and slowly crushes his bones. Moments later, the giant creature swallows Jeff alive. At the same time, the child finally breaks the rope completely and frees the others. The three of them immediately run toward the river, but after killing Jeff, the Crimson Anaconda starts chasing them again. They quickly hide behind a tree. The child hides inside a wooden container for safety. However, the anaconda notices him and slowly crawls toward the box. The terrified child desperately tries to escape, but the door on the other side is locked shut. He screams loudly for help. As the anaconda gets closer and closer, just before the creature attacks him, Jiao smashes open the container door from outside and rescues the child. Now, all three of them run for their lives once again. But the entire forest belongs to the deadly anaconda. Escaping from it inside its own territory seems impossible. They hide behind another tree, hoping the creature will pass by. But moments later, the anaconda spots them from a distance and rapidly rushes toward them. The three of them freeze in fear. They believe this is the end and that they will never survive. As the anaconda opens its massive mouth to attack, a sharp iron wire suddenly slices through its head. The deadly trap had actually been set earlier by Jeff. In the end, the Crimson Anaconda is finally killed. The survivors stand there in complete shock, unable to believe they are still alive. They stare at the giant creature's body for a long time before finally leaving the forest. And with that, the story comes to an end.